I was supposed to be the villain in a trashy romance novel, but right when my mission was about to end, my CEO wife suddenly developed the ability to read minds. Unaware, I was still diligently playing my part. You want a divorce? Over my dead body. But in my head, I was screaming, just slap me with those divorce papers already. You and your precious one that got away can live happily ever after. Just don't mess with my billion-dollar payday. To my shock, my wife had a complete personality transplant. She announced to the media that she was pregnant and we would absolutely not be divorcing. I'd stormed into the private room at the restaurant where my wife, Sarah, was with Chris, her old flame. I grabbed a glass of wine and, without a word, splashed it right in Chris's face. Sarah, probably not want to make a scene in front of their friends, just pulled him off to the restroom to clean up. According to the script, she was supposed to demand a divorce because of my outrageous behavior. Then, after a few more scenes of me desperately clinging on, making her utterly despise me, I'd successfully complete my mission and walk away with a cool $100 million. The thought of becoming obscenely rich had me grinning like an idiot. I could barely keep the smirk off my face. Someone at our table, trying to be helpful, nudged me. "Jake, man, are you okay? You seem a little unhinged." I quickly wiped the smile off my face and put on my best mournful expression. That's when Sarah walked back in. I rolled my eyes, crossed my arms, and said arrogantly, "It's not like I actually hurt him. Was all this drama necessary, Sarah? Do you even remember I'm your husband?" Sarah stared at me, her expression unreadable, her eyes dark and inscrutable. But inside, I was buzzing with excitement. "Come on, lay into me. Then tell me if I ever dare to bully your precious Chris again, you'll destroy me." Sarah first asked her other friends to leave. Then she walked towards me and said calmly, "I was just concerned about a friend. Don't get the wrong idea." Huh, that's not how this was supposed to go. Gritting my teeth, I smashed a glass on the floor and sneered, "Let me tell you, don't think just because Chris is back you two can just waltz off into the sunset. You want a divorce? Over my dead body." Internally, though, I was starting to panic. I'm acting like a total psycho, and you're still putting up with this? Come on, ask for a divorce. Then slap me across the face with the papers you've already drawn up. You and your dreamboat can finally be together. Just don't stop me from getting my $100 million. But then Sarah just smiled, a strange, intrigued look in her eyes as she stared at me. "Honey, what are you even talking about? I love you. Why would I ever divorce you?" I froze, feeling like I'd been struck by lightning. What the hell? Isn't she supposed to be head over heels for Chris? Something must have gone wrong. Let me think. As I frowned, trying to figure out, Sarah walked over, wrapped her arms around my waist, and snuggled into my chest. I stiffened, my nose suddenly full of her sweet perfume. She giggled. "Honey, I know I haven't been the best wife, but from now on, I want us to be together forever." "No, you got it all wrong. I'm just the evil side character. Chris, you're one that got away. He's your leading man." 3 years ago, I got zapped into this ridiculous, over-the-top novel, cast as the villainous sidekick hopelessly in love with the female lead, Sarah. After her true love, Chris, left the country, I seized the opportunity and married her. Then when Chris returned, I was supposed to use every dirty trick in the book to keep them apart, only to have it all blow up in my face. The hero and heroine would then live happily ever after. To complete my mission and get that $100 million payout, I've been playing my part with Oscar-worthy dedication, never slacking off, even making my character more detestable than originally written. And for 3 years, everything went according to plan. I was Sarah's loyal doormat, and Sarah was an ice queen, her heart always belonging to Chris, completely disgusted by my every move. Until 3 days before Chris was due back. She'd gone hiking, taken a tumble, hit her head, and fallen into a coma. When she woke up, something was off. She came home and burned everything that reminded her of Chris. And now, her attitude towards him didn't seem nearly as passionate as the novel described. Could it be that my acting was subpar today? Did she see through my performance? No way. Question anything else, but never my acting skills. Even the system, which had been silent for ages, once praised my natural talent for playing the villain, saying sometimes even it wanted to smack me. So if it wasn't my fault, it had to be Chris's. He hadn't suffered enough. "Honey, why aren't you answering me?" Sarah pressed her entire body against mine, her hand slyly slipping inside my shirt. I tensed up, grabbing her mischievous hand. "You used to avoid me like the plague." Whoa, this is heading into R-rated territory. I'm not exactly an expert at love scenes. Honestly, though, Sarah's gorgeous, flawless skin, slim waist, long legs. If things did get physical, I wouldn't exactly be complaining. "What's wrong?" She chuckled, then nibbled at my Adam's apple. "Can't hold back anymore." I was screaming internally. Sarah frowned and kissed my lips. "You're thinking too loud." Thump, thump, thump. The only sound left was my own heartbeat. Just as Sarah was about to take things further, the door to the private room opened. Chris stood in the doorway, pale-faced, his eyes dark. Perfect timing. I yanked Sarah into my arms, kissing her deeply, a trail of saliva connecting our lips as I provocatively met Chris's gaze. Chris, who the hell do you think you are? I'm Sarah's husband. Well, if it isn't the leading man. You finally showed up. Just watch. I'm going to make your life miserable. Chris just stood there, pursing his lips, looking distressed and utterly wronged. Sarah, he said, his voice shaky, all those times you chased after me, telling me you loved me. Was all of that a lie? I was young and naive back then. Sarah's tone was icy. Didn't know how to judge people. My confusion deepened. The Sarah in the book was supposed to be hopelessly devoted to Chris, unable to live without him. Sarah, I know you're upset with me, but I had no choice. When I was overseas, I thought about you every single moment. I came back hoping to make up for my mistakes. Maybe we could. I have a husband now. Sarah cut him off without a trace of mercy. He clutched his chest and coughed, looking pitiful. Sarah nudged me lightly and whispered, "What are you staring at?" Then, without even glancing at Chris, she continued, "As you can see, my husband and I are very happy together. I only came to this dinner tonight because an old classmate invited me. My husband, well, he's got a bit of a temper and gets jealous easily. I don't want him getting the wrong idea. Is Sarah on something? This is the guy you've been mooning over for 3 years. Please, for the love of God, just get back together with him. I need to wrap this gig up and get my money." My insides were churning. Sarah, however, just pinched my waist and glared at me. I let out a little hiss, which to Chris probably looked like we were flirting. He took a deep breath, looking like he was about to shatter. "Sarah, are you serious? Have you forgotten the tricks he pulled to make you marry him 3 years ago? Speaking of which, I got a question for you. You kept saying you loved me, but when my family's business was struggling, when I needed you most, where were you?" Chris was speechless. Sarah took my hand and started walking towards the door. As we passed him, Chris grabbed her wrist, his eyes slightly red. "Sarah, just give me one more chance, please." His voice trembled. To my surprise, Sarah let go of my hand, slowly pried his fingers off her wrist, and replied coldly, "I'm not interested in leftovers, Chris. Please have some self-respect." Chris stood rooted to the spot, a picture of dejection. I was stunned too. How did the plot go so off the rails? Alarm bells clanged in my head. Don't tell me Sarah's actually fallen for me. How am I supposed to finish my mission then? Okay, calm down. Main female characters like her are usually all talk, denying their true feelings. You two are so dramatic. Without me stirring the pot, you'd break up eventually anyway. Sarah tooted again, clearly annoyed. Stop worrying about other people. Don't look. In the back seat of the car, Sarah's hands started wandering again, her warm breath fanning my neck. "The driver's right there," I whispered, trying to push her away gently. She laughed. "Then don't make a sound." Her hand moved lower. I sucked in a sharp breath and grabbed her wrist. Did Sarah take the wrong meds or something? She used to look at me like I was something she scraped off her shoe. Totally killed any mood. Sometimes I can't help but think the female lead in this story is blind. Passing up a handsome guy over 6 feet tall, like me, for that heartless jerk. Sarah's expression flickered. Then she was back to cooing at me. "I only just realized today how handsome you are. Way better looking than Chris." I lifted my chin proudly. Obviously, my smugness made her laugh. "I'm perfectly clear-headed, you know. I haven't taken anything. I know exactly what I'm doing." I found this very strange. Sarah was just the main female character in the book. She didn't have any special powers or anything, but it felt like she could read my mind. At that thought, I tried to relax and quickly change the subject. "You hit your head a few days ago, remember? The doctor said you need a rest. We should get to bed early." She looked at me thoughtfully for a moment, then nodded. I finally let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding. She must have scrambled her brains when she fell. She'll be back to normal in a few days. The next day, I went to Sarah's company. When I saw Chris in the visitor's lounge, I wasn't surprised at all, just raised an eyebrow. Looks like yesterday was just a fluke. The plot was still somewhat on track. He suddenly said, "I didn't get a good look yesterday, but seeing you now, you really do look a bit like me." "Ah, the old, you're just a stand-in routine." Classic. He was trying to provoke me. I played along, feigning fury, pointing at Chris and yelling, "Where do you get off comparing yourself to me? I'm Sarah's actual husband. You're just the other guy at best. The one who isn't loved is the third wheel." He shot back without missing a beat. "And you know damn well who Sarah really loves." Not bad. The kid had a knack for pissing people off. I grabbed his collar, pretending I was about to punch him. The click-clack of high heels approached. Chris shot me a knowing smile, then stumbled backward dramatically, sending the coffee mugs on the table crashing to the floor, spilling everywhere. His back even hit the corner of the table, and he managed to scrape himself up, drawing a bit of blood. Wow, what a drama queen. I didn't even have to lift a finger. He played out the whole scene himself. The next second, Sarah's surprised voice rang out. What's going on here? Chris, wincing in supposed pain, hurried to say, Sarah, it was my fault. I was clumsy. It has nothing to do with anyone else. I knew my cue. I immediately put on a stern face. I pushed him. What, Sarah? Feeling sorry for him now. If I catch you bothering my wife again, I'll beat you up every time I see you. Tears welled up in his eyes. His hands clenched into fists at his sides. How could Sarah not feel sorry for him when he looked like that? Okay, now Sarah's definitely going to chew me out. I've bullied her precious Chris this badly. If she can still tolerate this, is she even human? Just as I was thinking this, Sarah gave a subtle nod, and her assistant came in and helped Chris up. But then Sarah wrapped her arm around mine and said affectionately, whatever my husband says. Both Chris and I were dumbfounded. Chris clearly wasn't ready to give up. He looked reluctant as the assistant tried to lead him away. I wasn't about to let it go either. Seizing the moment, I added more fuel to the fire. Chris, you see that? Stop dreaming. You're so scrawny, you better steer clear of me next time, or I might push you again, and you'd probably just keel over. Chris stopped in his tracks, as if he'd suddenly remembered something. He quickly grabbed Sarah's sleeve and said with a pained expression, Sarah, I came back this time because I needed to tell you. I have stomach cancer. The doctors say I have 3 months at most. Terminal illness, classic. Definitely fake, but it's a good move. This has to get Sarah feeling sorry for him, right? Sure enough, Sarah froze for a second. Really? Chris gave a bitter smile and nodded. Look at me, I'm so thin. I immediately chimed in. I can vouch for that. One push, and he goes down. Sarah shot me an unreadable glance. I clear my throat, giving myself the perfect excuse to bail. Well, in that case, I'm not a complete jerk. You two should talk. I've got things to do, so I'll head out. Internally, I was ecstatic. Finally, they get some alone time. Chris, you better step up your game. Win Sarah over with that charm of yours. Waiting for those divorce papers. $100 million. Here I come. This time, Chris didn't disappoint. The very next day, a video of Sarah and him going back to an apartment together went viral. Sarah, with her image as a beautiful, powerful businesswoman, had always been popular on social media. Her childhood sweetheart story with Chris, the one that never quite panned out, was a frequent topic of nostalgic gossip. Not only that, but videos of me splashing wine on Chris at the club and of Chris getting pushed down at the office had also surfaced online. A few reporters were camped outside my house. When I stepped out, they swarmed me, bombarding me with questions. One reporter asked, Mr. Mitchell, do you have any comment on Ms. Davis and Chris Walker? I diligently played my role as the stumbling block to true love, replying resentfully, an affair during marriage, and someone knowingly being the other person? What's there to say? The reporter pressed on, but I heard you use some underhanded tactics to marry Ms. Davis in the first place. Now her true love is back. They look great together. Don't you think emotionally blackmailing Ms. Davis into staying with you is a bit much? My face remained impassive, but inwardly, I gave this young reporter a thumbs up. Back when Sarah was going through hell with her family's business, Chris abandoned her, left her high and dry. Everyone in our circle knows that. You don't. She was momentarily stunned by my question, then asked, it's common knowledge that you and Ms. Davis don't have a good relationship. You never even spent an anniversary together. Why would you want to maintain such a marriage in name only? I don't want to. I screamed internally, but on the surface, I had to keep up the act. So, I just scoffed, turned on my heel, and walked away, trying to project an image of stubborn loneliness. Clips from that interview quickly went viral online. A lot of people were trashing me. This guy is disgusting. He clearly took advantage of her when she was vulnerable, tricked her into marriage, and now he's acting like the victim. He's nothing compared to Chris from head to toe. Chris is Sarah's one true love. The actual people involved haven't even said anything, and he's over there jumping around like a pathetic clown. Why hasn't Sarah spoken up yet? I want to see her put him in his place. Things have gotten this messy, and he still won't agree to a divorce. I bet he's just after her money. So shameless. Scrolling through comment after comment attacking me, my feelings were a bit complicated. Thinking back on my 3 years of playing the devoted simp, I really had been at Sarah's beck and call. If she didn't want to go on a date, I'd show up half a day early and wait for her downstairs from her office. If she got drunk, I was her designated driver, taking her home. She always used business trips to avoid our anniversaries. I'd fly to wherever she was, wait around until she ran out of excuses, then we'd have a quick dinner, and I'd catch the earliest flight back the next morning. If I didn't have this omniscient view of the story, being so devoted to someone and getting nothing back would be genuinely heartbreaking. But right now, instead of lamenting the fate of the male side character, I should be cheering for my impending mission completion. Because according to the novel, my character's ultimate fate is that after Sarah and Chris rekindle their romance, I keep causing trouble, try to manipulate public opinion against Chris, only to get piled on by netizens and make a bleak exit. Right now, they've probably patched things up, and I'm getting dragged online. Mission completion is just around the corner. I even hoped they'd lay into me harder. The more despicable I seemed, the more sympathy the public would have for Chris. Sarah called me. On the phone, she asked cautiously if I was upset by all the negative press. I sniffled, then said viciously, "Sarah, cut the act. Let me tell you, as long as I'm around, Chris Walker will never be anything more than a sleazy, hidden affair." I could hear Chris's voice in the background, muffled. "Sarah, just being here with you like this is enough for me." Another wave of excitement washed over me internally. Whoa, they're already shacking up? Attaboy Chris. Sarah, hurry up and divorce me. My $100 million is just one divorce decree away. Suddenly, Sarah got angry, her voice rising. "Say that again." I hung up without hesitation. That would probably make her even angrier. In a fit of rage, she'd divorce me. Perfect. But I waited for 3 days, and Sarah didn't come home, let alone mention a divorce. I figured that Chris kid probably wasn't pulling his weight enough. I'd have to step in. An idea sparked. I registered a new social media account and fired off 3 outrageous posts. "All right, people, it's me, Jake Mitchell. Line up if you want to bash me. You think your little online pile-on is going to make me back down? True love, my ass. I'm going to stick with Sarah Davis for life. Let's see who given first, haha. Sarah, you want to ride off into the sunset with your precious Chris? Dream on. Chris Walker, you're a parasite. Why don't you just drop dead?" That instantly turned the whole situation into an absolute firestorm. My phone number got leaked, and suddenly I was bombarded with an endless stream of harassing calls and texts. I put my phone on airplane mode, which meant I missed Sarah's big announcement. Early the next morning, the house phone rang. It was my assistant, telling me to check the trending topics immediately. "Mr. Mitchell, you finally picked up. Ms. Davis just announced you're going to be a dad." My brain short-circuited for a moment. I frantically pulled up Sarah's social media profile. Last night, Sarah had posted an ultrasound picture, captioned, "My husband's just scared of losing me. That's why he's been acting out on social media. Please bear with him. We're doing great, and we'll be welcoming a new life together. We will absolutely not be divorcing. Please, everyone, show some respect and stop spreading rumors, or I won't hesitate to take legal action." This completely blew up the internet. Sarah's and my names were still at the top of the trending lists after an entire night. No one would have guessed that Sarah, who was always subtly reminiscing about her past on social media, would actually be having my baby and publicly declaring her love for me. Well, in that case, Chris really is the other man. Looks like he's the manipulative one after all. All right, show's over, folks. The one that got away turned out to be a dud. The second lead gets the girl. Happy ending. We laughed at him for being crazy. He's laughing at us for not seeing the truth. Enough said, wishing them a long and happy life. This completely threw me for a loop. This plot twist wasn't in the book. I immediately rushed to Sarah's office. She was sitting at her desk, looking at documents. She glanced up at me, perfectly calm. "No need to thank me. We're family. It's what I should do." My chest heaved, and I roared internally. "Thank you, my ass. Divorce. I want a divorce. What's this about a baby?" I demanded. Aside from Sarah acting a bit off her rocker these past few days, I hadn't touched her in 3 years. There was no way she was pregnant. She smiled, tilting her head and blinking innocently. "Just because there isn't one now doesn't mean there won't be one later. Haven't you always said you wanted to have a baby with me?" I was stunned, speechless. If I didn't act like I wanted to possess the female lead, would I even be a proper villainous side character? I was just acting. How could you actually believe it? Sarah stood up, walked over to me, and caressed my face, a thoughtful expression in her eyes. "Honey, I truly know I was wrong. You're the one who's always been good to me. From now on, I'll love you just as much as you've loved me. I'll protect you. You're not allowed to go anywhere." On the surface, I looked moved. "Sweetheart, I've finally waited long enough for you." Inside, however, I was panicking. Sarah's actually in love with me. Sarah's actually in love with me. What do I do? What do I do? Is my $100 million gone, just like that? Just then, a commotion erupted at the door. Chris, shoving past the protesting assistant, burst into the room. "You wouldn't see me, so I had to invite myself in," Chris said, looking disheveled. Sarah just pursed her lips and let out a short, derisive laugh. Done faking your terminal illness. Sigh. If this Chris guy had half my acting skills, he'd have won the girl ages ago. My assistant and I tactfully exited, once again leaving the two of them alone. Make or break, this was it. Just in case, I hid outside the door to eavesdrop. Chris lowered his head, his hands clenching at his sides. He still sounded resentful. I was wrong to lie to you, but I only did it because I love you so much. Are you really having Jake's baby? Didn't you love me most? Mr. Walker, Sarah didn't give him an inch, her voice like ice. I believe I made myself perfectly clear before. I love my husband, and I'm willing to have his child. Your actions have made me very angry, especially arranging for reporters to slander my husband. If it weren't for old time's sake, you wouldn't even have the chance to stand before me right now. Sarah, is that really how you see me? Chris forced a bitter smile, his expression wounded. It's been 3 years, and you've changed so much. You actually believe Jake? Don't you know what kind of person he is? He's been targeting me, and you're still helping him. Please don't let him fool you. Chris wasn't wrong. According to Sarah's original character profile, she would unconditionally trust Chris and despise a malicious person like me. How is it that now? Every word out of Sarah's mouth was defending me. Are you finished? Sarah pulled out a checkbook, quickly filled out a check, and slid it in front of Chris. You think I don't know about your little schemes? Back then, you abandoned me when my family's business was failing. Now that I've made a comeback, you think you can just waltz in and profit off me? Let me tell you, life doesn't work that way. Take this $5 million and get out. What in the world? That $5 million was supposed to be what Sarah gave me when we divorced. I'm the one who's supposed to be told to get out, not Chris. Chris, if you're a man, refuse it. Who knew Chris really wasn't much of a man? He hesitated for a moment, then took the check. The next second, right in front of Sarah, he tore the check in half. Sarah, it's okay if you don't believe me. I have a way to make you believe me. With that, he strode towards the door. I didn't have time to move, and we collided. He glared at me, his eyes red with indignation. Before I could even process what happened, he was gone. A moment later, the assistant rushed in, frantic. This is bad. Mr. Walker is on the roof. He says he's going to jump to prove his sincerity. Sarah and I raced to the rooftop. Chris was standing on the edge of the terrace, looking like he'd lost all will to live. A crowd of onlookers had already gathered below. Sarah's face was grim. She kept telling him not to be impulsive, that they could talk things through. I was already pissed at him for his bad acting derailing the plot. Now, he was pulling this stunt. Wasn't this just going to push Sarah further away? While he was trying to play the sympathy card with Sarah, I grabbed him by the scruff of his neck and yanked him back. I channeled all my frustration from these past few weeks into my fist and slammed it into his face. What kind of damn self-pitying stunt are you trying to pull? It's pathetic to watch. It's all because you suck. I can't carry you through this plot. I gave you so many chances. Why can't you just get it right? Great. Now my $100 million is about to go up in smoke. It's all your fault, you jinx. Security guards finally rushed up and pulled us apart. Later, as we were getting bandaged up at the hospital, we just glared at each other. Remembering how Chris clearly hadn't actually wanted to die, I let out a cold snort. Suddenly, I recalled what the system had once told me. If the plot really went off the rails, I had one last resort. Faking my death. My part of the story was over. As long as I could make an exit, the mission would be complete. Throughout all this, Sarah had been fussing over me with concern. Chris, apparently unable to stand it any longer, got up, cradling his arm, and walked out dejectedly. While Sarah was on the phone, I ran out and stopped him. Hey, how about we team up? No choice. Looks like I had to carry this whole thing. The next day, Sarah received news that both Chris and I had been kidnapped. The kidnappers we'd hired informed us. Everything's going according to plan. Sarah has already left with the ransom money. Chris still looked doubtful. She'll definitely not save me. I don't understand the point of this setup. And that's why you'll never win her heart. I shot him a look. I'm the only one who can help you now. Truth be told, this was all part of my grand performance of faking my own death. If I was gone, maybe Chris and Sarah would have a chance to get back together. Sarah arrived quickly. Let them go, she said, her voice strained. I'll agree to any conditions. The lead kidnapper, following the script, stated his terms. Sorry, Ms. Davis. You can only save one of them. Choose. What? That's not what you said on the phone. Sarah was aghast. Sarah, enough talk. The kidnapper continued, reciting his lines. If you don't agree, I'll kill them both. Sarah's face was a mask of grim concentration. Let me think about it. I shot Chris a look. He understood immediately, putting on an expression of profound love mixed with a readiness for death. Sarah, I know you won't choose me. Let me be the one to die. I wish you and Jake eternal happiness. He even managed to squeeze out a few tears. I had to admit, when it came to playing the manipulative victim, Chris was in a league of his own. The kidnapper turned to me. Mr. Mitchell, what about you? Any last words? Sarah stared at me, her eyes wide. I gave her a small smile. Sarah, I'm afraid I can't be with you anymore. Goodbye. Then, the warehouse we were in began to shake violently. The building's collapsing. Run! The kidnapper, reacting first, yelled. Sarah grabbed my hand and started pulling me towards the exit, Chris close behind. Just as we neared the doorway, I wrenched my hand free from Sarah's grasp and gave Chris a hard shove forward. As she watched in utter disbelief, I disappeared into the thundering roar of the collapsing structure. The last thing I heard was her heart-wrenching scream. Jake! Of course I wasn't dead. I'd picked this warehouse carefully. I'd planted some small explosives underneath. One boom, and the building naturally became unstable. I'd also set up a hidden tunnel near the entrance. It looked like I was buried under the rubble, but I'd actually slipped away through the tunnel. After successfully faking my death, I threw my head back and howled at the sky. I'm finally free. Just then, the system's voice suddenly piped up. Host, are you happy? I jumped, then immediately started cursing. You son of a bitch, you finally decide to show up. Hurry up and transfer that $100 million to me. The money has already been credited to your account, the system replied. You haven't answered my question. Of course I'm happy. I'm finally done with this cheesy drama. Do you have any idea how hard these 3 years have been, holding it all in? How to put it? I did feel a tiny twinge of guilt towards Sarah. After all, I had deceived her, and I'd chosen the money. But then I consoled myself. Any normal person would have made the same choice. She was probably already rekindling things with Chris by now. I enjoyed a period of blissful freedom. To make a clean break with the past, I forbade the system from telling me anything about Sarah or Chris. One day, the system, being a smart aleck, asked me again, Host, do you think Sarah is the type to give up easily? I shook my head and sighed. If she gave up that easily, she wouldn't have been hung up on Chris for so many years. Wait a minute. You're not trying to hint at something, are you? You're overthinking it, Host, the system said. I leaned back in my rocking chair, feet swinging idly. My death was flawless. Even if Sarah found out, what could she do? The world's a big place. Where would she even find me? The words had barely left my mouth when a female voice came from behind me. Jake, you were hard to find. I yelped and tumbled right out of the chair onto the floor. Holy crap, what's going on? Why didn't that stupid system warn me? System. Host, you told me not to say much. After that accident, Sarah tore the place apart, but couldn't find your body. She never believed you were dead and has been looking for you ever since. Sarah, a small smile playing on her lips, walked towards me step by step. What do I do? What do I do? Damn it. Sarah, what did I ever do to deserve this in a past life? Is this how a main female character is supposed to act? Maybe I should just pretend I don't know her. There are plenty of lookalikes in the world. I was just about to open my mouth when Sarah cut me off. She raised a finger and pressed it to my lips. Planning to pretend you don't know me? I'd give up on that idea if I were you. I'd recognize you even if you returned to ash. How does she know? Sarah straightened up, looking down at me. After I fell and hit my head on that hike, I gained the ability to read your mind. Jake, stop your internal monologue. It's deafening, Sarah said, frowning. I didn't believe it. Sarah's a big liar. Her face darkened, her tone growing sharper. Say that one more time and see what happens. Okay, fine. She really could read minds. No wonder her personality had changed so drastically after she woke up from the coma. Did that mean she'd heard every single one of my scheming little thoughts? So embarrassing. Way too embarrassing. And here I was, priding myself on my superb acting skills, only to be played by Sarah all along. I have a question. Ask. How did you suddenly decide you couldn't live without me? It's not just because you find it amusing to hear my thoughts, is it? She began to speak slowly. While I was in the coma, I also had a dream. I dreamed that after Chris came back, I was desperate to be with him and hated you. Even though you warned me multiple times that Chris wasn't a good person, I just ignored you coldly. Eventually, I got my wish and ended up with Chris, only to find out he was just using me. Later, he started womanizing and partying, and eventually, he and his lover conspired to kill me. After I died, you were the only one who visited my grave each year. When I realized events were unfolding exactly like in my dream, I knew it wasn't just a dream. It was a memory from my past life. Jake, you're the one worth cherishing for a lifetime. Huh? System, get your ass out here and tell me what's going on. Why is the plot I know different from hers? The system remained silent. Sarah smiled again. Don't bother looking for it. I told it to get lost. Jake, I know just as much as you do now. You can't beat me. She looked quite fetching with that confident glint in her eye. I scratched my head. but I'm just the villainous side character. You're supposed to be with Chris, the male lead. How can I steal the hero's girl? My voice dwindled as I spoke. Sarah's voice became even gentler. My life is my own, not written by someone else's pen. These past 3 years, even though I didn't show it on the surface, my heart was slowly falling for you. I fell in love with you long time ago, Jake. You are the one and only leading man in my life. Let's not be bound by the plot, okay? Besides, she added, a playful light in her eyes, it's just a mere 100 million. I can give you double that. That day, the sun was shining perfectly. Sarah's smile was beautiful, and like a fool, I nodded. Of course, there was also the small matter that who in their right mind would say no to $200 million? Then it's settled, Sarah warned, leaning her head on my shoulder. If you run again, I won't be so nice. My insides churned once more with a silent tirade. Sarah gritted her teeth. Are you cursing again? Oops, right. I quickly started reciting Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star in my head. By the time I got to the 50th mental repetition, Sarah couldn't take it anymore. If you sing that one more time, she growled. Then she kissed me. Well, I couldn't exactly keep reciting after that. As our lips tangled, she murmured, let's have a baby. Later, Sarah and I had an adorable daughter. Sometimes I still worry. What if that damn system comes back one day and tells me I don't belong in this world, yanks me out? What would Sarah do? Sarah, hearing my thoughts, would always comfort me. Don't worry, honey. No matter where you go, I'll find you. What if the place I go isn't in this world? Then I'll wait for you right here, she'd say. I won't go anywhere. And when you come back, you'll be able to recognize me immediately.